Hey there, welcome to the Growth Show. I'm your host, Whitney Bateson, and today I am bringing you a very special episode. So, this one comes straight actually from an event that I participated in recently, the Nutrition Entrepreneur Virtual Summit, their spring summit. So, if you are a dietitian, you may be familiar with the dietetic practice groups that are within the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. The summit is amazing. They've been doing it for a couple of years, and I've been a part of it for a couple of years as a virtual exhibitor. And if you know me, you know that I am not anywhere for very long, and I'm definitely not in the US. And so these virtual events are such an important way for me to be able to connect with other entrepreneurs and talk websites, talk marketing and strategy, and just personally connect. So I had a great time at the summit. There's always just so much energy. I know I got the feeling from folks, it can feel overwhelming because it's this online virtual summit for 3 days and everyone's talking in the discussion boards and we've got a booth and there's lots of other booths and then the sessions are actually happening and then there's conversations happening there. So it feels like there's so much to cover and digest in such a short period of time. But all that to say, it's still an amazing event. And I know I always walk away feeling really inspired by the connections that I've made and just seeing how people are growing their businesses and just getting to, talk about entrepreneurship. And so this year, each year we have an opportunity to kind of have a little session within the summit as an exhibitor. And this year I decided to do something a little bit different and actually do some real live website audits. And I was able to audit and review two of our past clients' websites. And then also someone within the summit submitted Irene, her website, and I was able to review that and actually then talk with her a little bit more during the event and the session to get her feedback on what I was talking about. Was it resonating, and cover a few more things. So it was really cool. It was a really fun opportunity to do something a little bit different. And I wanted to bring it to you and let you hear the audit and see the audit. So if you want to follow along visually, this is on YouTube. I've been putting my podcast episodes on YouTube for a little while now, and I'm planning to do some more of these audits potentially in the future. So if you want to get in the habit of checking these out on YouTube, definitely go ahead and do that. But otherwise, feel free to listen on the go. I know for many of you, this is your time on your walk or your morning drive or washing the dishes to catch up on podcasts. So just know I've kind of cut out some of the fluff from the intro of the session that I was hosting and all of that. So I'm just going to dive right in, and you're going to hear some great ideas and suggestions and insights that I have as I go through these three entrepreneurs' websites. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's dive right in. Okay. Now, before we get into the audits, let's level set in terms of what our websites really need to be doing in order for them to be this business tool. Because you might be hearing people say, oh, you need a website. But why? When there's social media and there's referrals and there's health profs and there's Berry Street and there's all these different things that you can potentially be doing. Why is a website still something that is relevant to every business out there? And why is it uniquely important to you as a nutrition entrepreneur building your business? So a website, first and foremost, is going to be showing off all of your offerings and your services. It's that one spot that shows everything, and it shows everything in a cohesive, clear way. At least that's what it's supposed to do. We'll show some websites and go through that. But yes, it should be showing off all of your offerings and making it clear what it is you do. It needs to be a place where you can send people to get all the answers of how you can help them, how they can work with you. It needs to also be an automated way to convert visitors into leads. So not just being, oh, I'm going to send you an email or we're going to have to go back and forth. It needs to be automated because as you grow, you need to be spending your time serving your clients, networking with other professionals, getting referrals, collaborating, thinking about your business, taking time for mental health, all of those things. So if you're constantly having to follow up with people, that's not a long-term growth strategy. It might work for your first few clients, but it's going to get old real quick. So we want our website to be automated to convert the visitors that are coming to the site into leads into our audience. And we also want it to be a way to build our audience and reach. So we want to be having SEO set up on it, ideally having some blogs that you're publishing. You don't need to become a blogger, but having once a month, every 2 months even, just to start to get some content out there, because our website on the web is great. Having it optimized for some keywords is great, but the way that you're really going to get it starting to build traffic is to be putting out content regularly that is answering the questions that your customers are asking and looking for. And we also want our website to be building our audience in a different way, building our email list, because that can be a great resource for leads and just a way to nurture people. Because a lot of people that come to our sites, they're just not ready to move forward with us yet. But if they don't have a way to get a little something from you and stay in touch with you, then it's a lot harder to find out where they are and to nurture them and whatnot. So we want our website to be doing that. And really at the end of the day, we want our website to be this tool in our business that is going to make client acquisition easier and more effective. So you might be going and talking to gyms or community groups or doctors' offices or therapists or, referral partners, all of those things, going and giving talks. All of those things are great. But if you don't have a website, if you think about, okay, well, where am I sending people? Or if I'm sending them to my website, is my website really doing the job of answering the questions of, okay, well, what does she do? What does he do? What is different about what is being offered here? How do I move forward? Getting all those questions answered. If it's not effectively doing that, then the people that you are bringing to your site are either just going to leave or they're not going to be convinced enough. They're going to read what you have, but it's not effective enough to actually turn them into a customer. So website is not replacing social media or replacing any of these other things. It's a tool that makes all the traffic that you're generating and all the other activities that you're doing that much more effective. If you're going to a doctor's office, having a link that is going to a really effective website is going to be so much more powerful than having a link that's going to a website that's just a landing page with your name and your photo and your credentials and saying, I can help with diabetes and heart health and blah, blah, blah. But it's not really giving a compelling story of why that client should work with you. And people have a lot of choices out there these days. So we want to make it really, really compelling and build that connection with people that come to our site. But first, we need to make sure it's working. So in order for, like I mentioned, for it to actually be this tool that's helping us and we're sending people to it, it can't just be this static landing page. And so then the question is, well, how do I know if my website is working? And so there's really two things that any business needs to focus on when it comes to wanting to grow and wanting to generate more revenue and get more customers coming in. So first, you need to be thinking about how well are you converting those people that are coming to you, that are coming into your audience and into your orbit. So the visitors to your website, even the email subscribers to your list, how well are you converting those strangers into leads? So people that are booking a discovery call with you or submitting an intake form or an application, how is your conversion rate? So it's the conversion rate. How are we converting those people that do come to us into people that are taking that next step to actually take a sales focused action, like booking a discovery call or actually making a purchase? That's one number. And then how many people are we getting into our audience each day to begin with? The website traffic, the subscribers, how many new people, new eyes are we getting into the business? Because you could have a 50% conversion rate on your website. For example, you could have someone lands on your website and half of them sign up for a discovery call. That's an unheard of conversion rate, but have it be really great. But if you only have 2 people a month coming to your website, that is not a sustainable business, right? And so then you need to be focusing on that traffic side of things. For most of us, we are looking at both things, and it can feel overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, I need to be focusing on conversion and I need to be focusing on traffic. I have also been in that boat in my business where I point my focus, okay, I'm going to go all in on conversion, and then I neglect building the traffic and the audience and the reach, or I go all in on the reach, but then I'm so frustrated because I'm not seeing the results on the other side. I'm not getting those sales. So that's why it's a balancing act that we need to look at both, and we need to kind of keep bouncing back and forth to make sure both of those things are working and generating things. But honestly, it's both of those things together that are going to lead to growth. That's just the basic math there. So the audits today, I'm going to be focusing on these two things. I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on the conversion aspect of things. I do help my students with beginning stages of SEO, and we do talk about initial ideas of how to drive traffic to your site, like the networking and the referrals and all of that. But a lot of what I focus on is how are we making sure that your website is as strong as possible and converting people. And I think this is going to be really helpful because you're going to get a mix here of two students, clients that came through our program and their websites are live, and you can see what their sites are doing today. And then two people who applied through the summit for audits, and we'll be talking through those. And you'll be able to see how there's always something to improve. There's always something to be revisiting and looking at and thinking about. And that's the point. You wouldn't be just sitting and never thinking about, well, is my intake process the best process, and keeping it the same for 5 years? You're probably going to be iterating and thinking about, well, I could improve it here. I could improve it here. That's the same thing with our website. I think for some of us, we maybe don't go to our website as often as we should, but really, if we are looking at some of the metrics, so even just what is the traffic coming to your site? So look at Google Analytics. If you don't have Google Analytics connected to your site right now, it's free, it's easy. That's something that we set up for our customers when they come through the Wellness Pro website system, because we do want to have that tracking like right off the bat. So looking at that traffic and then just taking a mental note or having somewhere that you're keeping track. How many discovery calls did I get this month? How many new email subscribers did I get this month? How many people from my discovery calls converted into clients? How many people from the new email subscribers or from my email list came and booked calls? So even just some of those things to start looking at are going to help start to tell you, okay, what are the things that are going on and where should I be looking next, as opposed to just kind of sitting out here and feeling like, well, business isn't as good as I want it to be. And I feel like I'm working really hard, but I have no idea what to do. So we're going to start getting a little bit more specific. So the things I'm going to be looking for are things like the user experience and the ease of navigation on these websites. Is it easy and clear for me as a visitor to be taking action? How's the copy? Are we speaking directly to the customers and really forming that emotional connection? What are some opportunities to add more conversion points potentially? Ways to make offers clearer and more compelling. So we may have a service offering, but is it actually being presented in a way that is super clear and convincing that someone is going to want to move forward? And then a little bit of traffic, like I mentioned. What content are we putting on the site to bring traffic to the site? Okay, so I think I am now ready to share my screen. Okay, so first up is Amy from the Rebellious RD. So Amy is one of our past students in the program, and she shared with me that she loves her website. She can publish her blog and her recipes easily, and she's been making some updates to it. She did mention to me that she is having a hard time just remembering how to do some of the other edits to the site. And one of the great things that we actually just released into the program, so all of our students that come through the program get lifetime access to our library of videos. So we just redid the library of videos. So I will share that with Amy, that it should be easier for her to find things like how to update a button or how to update photos. So those are all things that are easy to do. And especially if you're in your site more regularly, then makes it even easier to remember to do that stuff and how to do it. And her goals that she shared with me, generating more traffic to the site, building her email list, and improving the user experience. So a few things that I want to call out here. So she has some great things going on above the fold here. So above the fold is like before you scroll. So we have this here that is talking about her lead magnet. I'm not going to go to that yet, but I will go to that in a second. So she has this for building her email list. Now, I think this is great. Seeking balanced and stress-free meals. Click for meal planning harmony. I might just double check the highlight on this so that it stays the same purple color, very small. because honestly, once people click it, that's great. I think this is just really great at catching the eye and saying, here is something really fast that you can grab onto right now. And she offers meal planning services. She has recipes. So it's very aligned with the kind of offering that she's giving to people. And so this is just that first part of our website helping us build our audience, because a lot of people coming to our site, they are not going to buy yet. We want to get them on the email list, and then we want to nurture them from there. And so I love that we have that. This is built into our templates in the program. Having this top bar and talking about a lead magnet is often what we recommend people do here. Now, when you click it, let's see. Now this is, oh, interesting. So I think the link, okay. So we have this page. Now, this is the page for her lead magnet. And I think one of my pieces of advice here is to optimize this page a little bit more, to talk about the specific problem that someone is having, that they are going to be a good fit for this, and what are they going to get? What transformation are they going to get? We have a little bit here with the stress-free meals. So we're kind of implying that mealtime is stressful, that creating meals is stressful, but I don't know that customers are probably saying that they are looking for meal planning harmony. And that may be, and this is something for all of us to keep track of. I have to do this myself too, because there's words and jargon that I use about websites and marketing that are not the words that all of you might be using. And so I'm going to use them, and you're going to be like, I don't know what she's talking about. I'm going to go read something else. And that's not what we want. We want our customers to be hooking into what we're saying by using words that they're already using to describe their problems and their goals. So a few things that she could do is maybe change up the title of this to be a little bit more specific about what is actually included in here. And I would also say, instead of having this, so this is like a preview of what's inside, but it's kind of giving away the whole thing. And also the scrolling nature and the text, it's a lot to read. And that's not our intention on this page, is to have them read this, but it kind of feels like, oh, maybe I should read this whole thing. So I would probably take away that preview and then have this just be talking about what I just mentioned. So it's totally fine. And this is what we talk about in our program, and what I do as well often for my lead magnets is I have my lead magnet have a landing page of its own, because obviously this is not good enough to explain what that lead magnet is. So we need to give a little bit more detail. So this is a page, this was built on MailerLite, her email platform. And so it's an opportunity because it's all these different conversion points. So I would look at improving the conversion point there. And then I'm just looking to make sure, okay, these buttons are going to her booking page. That's great. That's another thing that we really recommend, is having your booking page on your site, not sending people to an external place. And so she has Practice Better embedded right here. So when people want to move forward, they can just do it all right here. They're still on the website and move forward there. So that's great. That's working well. Another thing that as I was looking over her site, that I wanted to call out is the number of clicks. So this is the general layout that we recommend for displaying your services. You give a little information, and then we have a button to usually go to that section of the services page or its own services page. In this case, I was looking around her site before, and I know that this page is supposed to go to the program page because it's about programs. But when we click it, it actually takes us to a section of her services page, and then I need to click again. So I think the less clicks, the better for folks. So I would say the home page, that button should go straight to the actual program page, which is here. And then another recommendation I have is to give a high-level overview of the different programs. So she has 4 different programs here, and it's great to be talking about who it's for and what it includes. I would always be making sure that it is talking about that benefit first and really getting into like, why would anyone want this? And then going into the details. But yeah, maybe having like an overview so that it's easier to kind of get at a glance, okay, the different programs, and then can go into more detail. And then speaking about traffic to the site and all of that, I know that Amy has been working on her blogs, and I think she's doing a lot of things right here. She has a great amount of content with headings. She has bullets. She has an internal link as I was looking here, it's great to have those internal links and external links. And one thing that I noticed here, so I'm very happy that she has this CTA in her blog. So when we put blogs out, we want to make sure that they are inviting people to explore our site. So we have, for example, in the sidebar here, her meal planning guide. I would include a little bit more copy here to really sell that meal planning guide and have it be, like I mentioned, something that people are really going to want to grab onto. I would make this CTA maybe even a bit more prominent, and I would maybe even make it a little more fine-tuned to talk about a specific service or program that she has. So this is just saying that I'm here to guide you, but it's not yet talking about what are the different things that I can help you with specifically. So I would use that as an opportunity and maybe even have those links going to some of those pages, or maybe you just want to call out one service. Ideally, you have your site talking to all the different parts. So even if I were to go to the program page, I still see the other services up here, and down at the bottom here, there's a page to the services. So it's not like people are going to be lost by going to one page, but then it just makes it a little bit more specific. So that is another suggestion here. All right, I'm going to move on. So I think this is Irene. So Irene, if you are on here right now, yay, there you are. Thank you so much for submitting your site. Feel free to come off mute if you'd like. I have some thoughts about your site and I'm happy to share them right now. Okay, you came off mute. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. Okay, you excited?
Just
You
listening
ready?
to what you just said, I'm like, oh my God, I already have a list of 20 things and she didn't even get to mine yet. So yeah.
That's how it goes. So, but it's those little things, little tweaks and all of that. So I love that you have these beautiful brand photos showing you already like making that connection with people, making people feel like, okay, this is a safe space. You're going to, connect with Irene and learn from her. The one thing that I would say though is that this real estate above the fold is just so important, and we're not yet doing a good job of bringing people in terms of what you do, what you offer, how to take action. So you have some great copy down here of be a rebel, healing your relationship with food and make peace for your body once and for all. So I would say if you can find a way to lay this out slightly differently and have maybe the copy over here and then your photo on the side, and use that copy. And when it comes to headlines, because this can be a tricky thing to kind of figure out on our sites, like how to write the perfect headline. There's a few different formulas that you can use. You can be talking about the transformation. You can be talking about the problem and the solution. You can be really diving into the problem and then calling out your specific audience. So I think that this is great. I think you could also potentially have I would take this out because we already have the Rebel Dietitian. They're going to learn about you soon. They can kind of probably guess that this is you. So we don't need to have that. So this should be the headline, and then potentially having a subheading if there's specific like women that you work with or men that you work with, age groups, or the kind of offerings that you give. The subheading is just a great way to like modify and clarify the hero section and the hero copy, but not, going like too in depth. We don't want too many words. And then we want a call to action. So I'm guessing now, I know that you work with insurance, there's some different things at play that you need to figure out, but I would see if there's one place that you would want them to go first, whether it's to your services page or to the book a call page, some spot. I would have that up here in the hero section, and then potentially have that in the navigation as well in that spot, because our eyes often like kind of go like a Z across the page. So having another spot up there that is for that might be helpful. And I don't know if the login is that for customers.
Yeah, it's anything behind the paywall basically. So if like you're a community member or if you're in a group. But honestly, now that you're pulling this up,
It's like maybe
there was
oh,
there
there
was a
was
button.
something.
There's not a button. So, but yes, this all makes very good sense.
Okay. So I would potentially put the login like down in the footer, potentially, just because, it's like this is prime real estate and maybe doesn't need to be up in the navigation if it's for people that are kind of coming from behind the scenes. It's up to you though. And then the next thing that I would do here, so this is a lot of copy, and I would look to break it up. I would also think about that having the white text on a dark background is good for like a little bit of copy, but I think this might be too much copy to have with that kind of structure.
Okay.
So, and Lainey is the site I'm going to go to next. So she also has a section here where she's got some copy. She's broken it up into a few shorter sections. I would maybe even look at like, I mean, this is really finicky and picky, but maybe cutting it down even further or adding like one more section to break it up, and maybe even making the margins bigger so that it's not so much going across. So I would pick like something that's important that you want to be talking about, but then the rest of this, either it's in a different section, because we do, when we're leading people through, and actually I'm going to, one thing that I wanted to bring up is the templates that we have in our program. So this is kind of like, this is one of the templates that people can pick to use in our program. So we've got our headline, we've got our CTAs, we have this as seen, and if we want it, we can hide it if we don't. For you, if you take insurance, this might be actually a great way to highlight that you take insurance and have some logos there. And then we just talk real quickly about calling out what's the problem, what are the key things that people are dealing with, and then talking a bit about the solution. So this copy is like even too long for this, but and have some paragraphs and all of that. But this is just placeholder lorem ipsum anyway. And then we go into the solution. And then I really would like to see you have your services written out in some way on your homepage as well, because right now you have explore our services, but then people have to click to see it versus just seeing really quickly, okay, these are the few things that she can help with. So that's that. A lead magnet potentially could be more powerful down here than just a newsletter opt-in. Sometimes, people just need some convincing, and so people get so many emails these days. So usually some kind of opt-in is good. And then the other thing that I wanted to call out specifically for you is potentially having these be standard on the page, not toggles. Because as I was like clicking in it closes like pretty quickly.
Oh,
And it's just like an action that people have to take as opposed to scrolling. And I get that you have a fair bit of content that you want to put in here and explain to people. And so if it feels like too much, either, you've got some options. You can either cut it down, or you can have separate pages for each of the services, or maybe you can group things a little bit differently. So like this is one-on-one counseling. This is your membership. This is your project. So, and this one, it doesn't have as much copy, neither does this one. So I feel like if you were to put those three on a page, similar like what I was showing, well, let me go to our services page layout, where you can talk more about them. If there's something that you do want to talk more about in a lot of detail, then that's where like a long form services page or program page, like this is one of the layouts that we give folks, especially like for your membership, for example, or maybe that other item you had. If you really want to go into more detail, then make it its own page. But similar to what I was saying on Amy's site, don't have people have to click to this page to then go to that page, from the home page and all of that. Yeah. So you could either have them all on this page or separate them out. And then I would say your free resources and downloads, I would probably not have that be like its own section here. And I would really say like, this is a services page, but you could certainly use, I mean, you already have the resources here, but you could make this. Now I know this is like more of a contact form, but I would maybe even have that click to, like, I think on, let's see, we have on our services page, we say, do you have other questions? Contact me. And then it goes to the contact form. And then that might just clear up the space a little bit down there. And then you could have your opt-in again. On our site, we do include the lead magnet in every footer because we do just want to keep having it there for people. We know people are coming to our site and navigating in all different ways. So expecting for them to just get it from one spot, you know. So those are some very quick tips and ideas. I hope that was helpful. Do you have any questions for me before we move on?
So helpful. I don't think so. Yeah, the first thing I thought of when you were on the other page was when you said the clicking thing. I was like, oh my God, my services page, you have to click 7,000 times. And I know, like I was setting it up like, I don't think this is the best way to do this, but it was kind of like, I just need to get it on there. So, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense for sure.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you so
Great.
much.
Yeah, thank you. Now we also had, let's see. So I'm going to go to Lainey's site real quick. So I think this is a great example. So Lainey's site, she did such a wonderful job with it. Her business, from looking at her site and just what I know, is that she's not necessarily sending people to one. That's not her first goal. And I know that for some of you, that may be a goal in the future, is that you want to be sending people to a course or a group program or some other kind of thing that isn't just a one offering. You may still want to offer it, but you want to move away from it. And so I think this is a great example of that. And so what she has as her first kind of call to action and priority for people is not to get them on a call, but to get them through a training, a free training. And what she has is this webinar, and she has it linked up in a few places. So again, we can see it's up in her navigation here. It's right here in this navigation. We scroll down, we have another CTA to it. So she's doing a great job of sending that message, come to this training first. And then when we click it, it opens up a page that is on another platform she's using to deliver that training to people with it's Kartra. So the great thing with your website is that you don't have to have everything housed within the website itself. We just want the website to be cohesive, and we want to have the links and buttons going to the right places. Sometimes we embed stuff. So I really like embedding your call scheduler, but you don't need to necessarily have everything on there. So this is going to another place. But she mentioned to me when she was asking us to spotlight her site, or we invited her to the spotlight, and she said yes. And I asked her what she wanted to focus on, is that she's not necessarily getting as many leads as she would like right now into the business, and wanting to look into that. And so I would really break down what are those statistics of the different conversion points. So how much traffic are we getting to the site, and how many people are clicking to the training from the site? And then once they land on the training page, how many people are actually registering and signing up for the training? Because it could be that we're not having compelling enough information on the site that is really getting people to want to sign up for this training. It could be that the training page itself is not compelling enough. It's just not hitting the mark anymore for people. And I just have to say, I don't know how you all feel, but I thought that I would set up my business and set up my systems, and then they would just run. I don't know, for any of you who are in business or have been in business for a while, kind of like set it and then it's going to be good. But the market's always changing. Our customers are changing. We need to evolve. And so it's important to always keep coming back to the things that may have worked at one point don't always continue to work. So it's good to keep things fresh and be thinking about what are those things that we can be adjusting based on what we're seeing, the results we're getting. So maybe it's looking at this copy here and seeing, okay, what could be updated, what could be added, how can we position it differently if we're not getting people converting so much? And then also, how many people are actually coming, watching the full webinar and converting from the webinar? So those are all questions to be thinking about. But I think some of the things on the site that she's doing really great. It's very easy to navigate. I did notice like this button is not linked up anywhere. So we would just want to fix that. But I found other buttons on her site that are linking to the right places. So I don't think that's like such a huge thing there. I would look at the copy again. So again, if the leads are not where you want them to be, if people are coming to the site, but you're just not getting enough people actually taking action, look at the copy again and see how can we go even deeper, get even more specific to really just make that connection with people. It could be that some of the ways that we're describing the problems people are having, it's just not really resonating with people, and they're not really getting convinced that your specific offering is the thing that's going to move the needle. Because what is being offered here is this program, this is a course. And with the pandemic, there were a lot of courses that were released and a lot of success people had with selling courses, and courses are still a great way to teach people, but there's also some course fatigue out there happening. And so we have to, if we're selling a course, there's potentially a lot more work and thought and energy that we just need to be putting into how we are really differentiating it and really getting people to pay attention to it and believe that this is really going to move the needle. Because unfortunately, everyone and their mother had a course. A lot of those courses weren't good. I'm sure many of you have purchased courses in the past and then never logged into them or used them. And so there's people that are just like not wanting to do a course. They want more hands-on help and all of that. So what we want to be doing is making sure that people are really getting that feeling that this is going to work for them. So this could be another spot to just double check, make sure that the bonuses that are covered here, we've got the modules and all of that. All of this is just as strong as we want it to be. I mean, the page itself looks great. It's very easy to navigate. So I don't think there's any issues there. It's just, you can maybe even have a little bit more description of what this bonus is and why it's going to help them achieve the goal and why it's such a valuable bonus and resource. Those are all good things to have. And then another thing in terms of traffic and getting people to the site, she mentioned to me that Lainey mentioned that she is looking to add a blog in the future, and that can be really helpful in just driving more traffic. But then I also think that there's a lot of value still in the networking and collaborations and getting in front of other people's audiences, whether it's being on podcasts or showing up in online communities. Some of those things that are more high touch to get started, but when you're putting your website that's really well created, well optimized for converting people, and you're putting that website in front of your ideal customers, that can be really powerful. SEO is still really important. We want people to be finding us on Google, but that can also take some time. And so there's also strategies we can be doing to just like drive that traffic and generate that traffic. But then on the flip side, we want to make sure still that our website is actually converting. So looking again at that equation of how many people are coming to the site and what are they doing? Are they converting the way we want? And if they're not, where are those little micro conversion points that we can be looking at to see where we can improve things? And I always say, first, look at the site to make sure that it's functionally correct, that the buttons are linked up, that they're going to the right places, that there's not too many clicks for people, that it's easy to navigate, that it's clear what you do and what you offer, and there's not too much confusion or complication. And then start looking into, okay, how am I positioning each of my service offerings and what copy am I using to really connect with people? And that's kind of the hierarchy I would go in. Is first, is it broken? Is there anything wrong? How am I actually promoting my offers, and are they strong offers that are going to resonate with people and actually meet the needs of people? And then how am I talking about things and what's the copy that is connecting with people throughout the site? The homepage, the about page, we don't want to neglect the about page either, the services page, all of those things together, and continue to iterate and review and watch what's going on. Yeah. SEO question. I think at the first point is looking at the keywords that should be aligned for your pages. So what are those main keywords that people would be searching for a provider like you and the offerings that you have? We want to have different keywords and key phrases basically for every page of our site. So if you are just taking Lainey, for example, a weight loss dietitian in the Phoenix area, we wouldn't want to put that on every page and optimize every page for that same thing. I know it's counterintuitive because like, oh, every page should be just pointing to the same thing, but we actually want to pick a slightly different variation. So maybe it's nutrition for busy moms or online programs for women to, manage weight. So there's different key phrases that we can be using and having different pages optimized for each of those key phrases. And then the blogs are where it's more about answering questions that people have. And those are less competitive terms there. And this is kind of like a whole nother topic to talk through, but they're going to be building traffic over time. So there's not going to be as much volume and many people searching for those terms. But as people are searching for the questions that you're answering, that's going to help you come up more in Google. And Google is going to prioritize a website that has more content. If you're just a 3 or 5 page website and that's all that's happening on it, it's just not going to be, if you think about someone searching for an answer in Google, if you don't have a blog post or something that's relating to answering that, and you only have a few pieces of content versus a competitor of yours who has 2 blog posts to answer that question and has been putting out content regularly and has a lot more content, Google's going to prefer that site and put that site higher in the search results. So that's very quick and dirty of some SEO advice, but using tools to research keywords, so like key search, keywords everywhere, even I think it's called Answer the Public, to just figure out like what are those questions that people are asking, can all be helpful. Yeah. And I have some podcasts about it. I also have some blog posts on my website about SEO too. So feel free to check those out as well. All right. What a session, right? Yeah, I was going so fast trying to cover as much as I could in a really short period of time. But I hope that you got some ideas and inspiration from what I covered and the things that you saw if you were watching along on the different sites that we talked through. Now, if this conversation resonated with you, if you're like, man, I really need to get some of what Whitney's talking about, and I would love her help to do it, then please check out our program, the Wellness Pro Website System. The 2 of the people that their sites I reviewed are former students and members of that program and launched their websites with us through that. So if you would like my support and the support of my team to get a website up for you that is really a client-generating powerhouse, then make sure you check it out. Go to wellnessprowebsite.com to get all the details and learn about the program so you can really finally have a website that suits you, that represents you in the best way possible and helps you actually get more traffic coming to it, more customers and clients and revenue and all of that good stuff that we want when we are launching and growing our businesses, and that we really need our websites to be supporting us with. And I hope when I covered just the importance of a website and how we view websites and how we view growing our business, that helped you kind of see things in the context of how a website fits into our business toolkit as well. All right. So if you loved this episode, remember to subscribe, to share with fellow entrepreneurs. And if you have questions for me coming out of this episode, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram. I always love hearing your feedback. And if you have ideas for future episodes, I'm always listening and open to that as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time on the next episode of The Growth Show.